I hope you all are well. This is Amar Siddiqui, your host from Canada. It's been a while since I did a live program. It's been a very busy couple of months for me, launching courses and helping people find job opportunities or working opportunities as freelancers through my courses, webinars, seminars, and coordinating with some fascinating organizations in Canada for those who are migrating or have migrated already, helping them find their new home with a lot of comfort and earning opportunities. And it's such things happens in your life when you see that people are meeting you, following you, joining you, and then you meet someone in a conference, and they could still recognize you. So this is exactly what happened to me in May. I think it was 4th of May. A group of some fascinating professionals met me at one of the conferences, and we started talking about it. And they are the people who I have invited today to speak to you, to share what they're doing, how they are helping immigrants in Canada to settle down and to find job opportunities. They are two awesome people from an organization called IT Foundation. I would like to invite Maham, who is the program coordinator, and Kay, who is the job developer at IT Foundation. Um, one thing very important to understand that this session is for those who have already migrated to Canada and for those who are in the pipeline as well, because when they come in, there could be an opportunity for them to join in the program and kind of build their new career, new life in Canada. Now, before I ask both of them to introduce themselves and we begin the process, um, I work with newcomers. On a daily basis. Literally talk to them and or mentor them or coach them or they buy my courses. They all have one issue, and that's a major issue. They carry their luggage with them. So whatever they had been doing back home, they still want to do exactly the same in Canada. They do not really think that it's a new society, it's a new environment. Even job titles are at times different to what you were doing back home. I was working with a client from Sri Lanka, for instance, yesterday, and he was adamant that he would like to work as a financial advisor in Canada. I said, you can't do it unless you don't have a license to do so. You could come and join in another position, do your license, write your exams, and then you become a financial advisor in the Canadian job market. So all these things are very important to understand as immigrants, newcomers, or those who are in the pipeline who are just waiting for their PRs to come through. Um, but this is our opportunity, even my opportunity, to learn from both of them, Kay and Maham, about this interesting initiative they have in Ontario, and they will talk more about it. I will just shut up, and I will actually request Maham to quickly introduce herself. Then we'll ask Kay to introduce what he's been up to, and then we'll go on to more detail, more in-depth discussion with these two. Maham.
Perfect. Thank you, Hamad. Firstly, thank you for inviting us today. It's really exciting to kind of talk to the audience about how we can help them in the process of integrating into the Canadian job market. I've been in Canada myself for the past 14 years now, and again, it's not an easy journey. I mean, it completely we relate to the challenges an immigrant faces, and we've been through it ourselves. And honestly, when I started working at the Career Foundation, this is my first experience in the nonprofit sector. I realized we have no idea what a wealth of resources there are for immigrants. The government is focused, the government is trying to get so many programs for immigrants to help them immerse themselves in the culture and to get employment. And this is what the program is about. We actually have three bridging programs, and all three programs were developed keeping in mind what the need is in the market. So we have two for trades, which is HVAC and network cabling. We all know the pandemic really pushed a lot of things, into the forefront. And then this program, Foundations in IT, because we recognize that cloud security is huge right now. There is so much demand, And you don't necessarily have to have a very stellar or strong IT background. You need to just be able to understand technology and understand systems and just have the drive to grow. So we are here to help you and support you. And again, we are so excited to share more about the program with you. And now over to you, Kay.
Thank you, Maham, and thank you, Ahmad, for giving us this platform to be able to share some information with you. My name is Kay. It's just easy for people to pronounce. If you want to know the full names, you can see the first name is OLUKAYODE, the last name is Osunremi. I'm the job developer for the program, and basically, what excites me about this program is the impact, is the value proposition. I moved into Canada in 2017, and I would say with all sense of confidence that it was programs like this, bridging programs, and it was not-for-profit organizations like this as the Career Foundation that helped me to kind of align where my career trajectory lied. So when I see programs, organizations such as ours, actively churning out resources, to immigrants, to newcomers, basically on how to get into a career they've probably been into in their previous country. It excites me. So it is a privilege to be here. It is a privilege to be able to share these resources also to people, because sometimes you might have the resources, but you might not have the audience to be able to share that resources to. And you can see that the whole world is expanding. Canada is onboarding immigrants every single day by virtue of refugees, by virtue of people coming in by express entry. We need to be there in the people's faces. We need to be able to give them the options, because sometimes I feel that people are willing, but just the lack of the options just make it challenging for them. And we all know that there's just that systemic barrier, systemic limitations that exist. But we want to be ahead. We want to be able to provide people with the options, and then they could choose from those options. Thank you.
Awesome. And you rightly said, the number is increasing, and we'll have hopefully around 1.2 million new immigrants coming in the next 3 years, including about half a million students who would eventually, whoever wants to be a PR holder would probably be able to become a PR holder as well. So you're looking at about 1.8 million new people coming in to the Canadian job market. It's that the data shows us that there are job opportunities. There are plenty of job opportunities, but at the same time, you know upskilling and reskilling is required when you move to a new country, because and this is not really technical upskilling and reskilling. It is your network, who you know, who you how do you speak, how do you share your kind of your values, your experience with other people, and all that is really really important in kind of creating your opportunities in a marketplace like Canada, which is literally full of opportunity for those who want to upskill, reskill, and reinvent themselves. And IT Foundation, this program is, or whatever I've seen, is great for these immigrants who want to upskill or reskill. For instance, I was talking to Maham K before you, and she told me that even if you have a project management experience, you can actually transform yourself into a brand new career, which is also pretty decently paid. And the job opportunities are phenomenal. So technically speaking, I would think anyone who really wants to learn can learn and find these job opportunities that are that are really out there. I mean, you don't even have to look for those opportunities. People will come and grab you literally if you have those opportunities. But Kay, to take this conversation forward, who is eligible for this program, bridging program that you offer, which means that what so in simple word, what is the eligibility criteria?
Okay, thank you for that. So, who is eligible for our program? You have to at least be 18 years and above. Of course, you have to be resident in Ontario, and you need to be a convention refugee or a claimant refugee with a valid work permit, and you need to have the West evaluation, and then you need to have a CLB of 7 and above. So those basically are the criteria for you to be eligible in the program. However, in some cases, we look at situations on a case by case basis. We try to make rationales and come to a reasonable conclusion in terms of suitability and eligibility for each candidate.
Okay, so I'll just share in the chat these um, key conditions so that people who have missed it at least will be able to see it later on. So it's basically be at least 18 or above, residents of Ontario, PR holder, naturalized citizens, and must
Permanent
possess
residents.
DLB level 7 or above for to be eligible for this program. This is great, but what are you going to teach them?
Sorry.
What are you going to teach them?
Oh, I see. Okay. So the program is structured for 11 weeks, and basically it's actually delivered in three phases. So the first phase is what we call a workplace communication skill training. Basically, we have a facilitator who comes in, is very experienced in what he does. He comes in there, trains them in terms of workplace culture, networking, how do they present themselves, how do they go for those interviews, how do they answer those situational questions when they go for those interviews. The second phase, which is the heart of the program, is the CCSK Training Plus. That training is actually done for 5 days. We have the hands-on training for 2 days. We have experts from Deloitte coming to handle this training. When they go do this training, and then the candidates are also suitable, they're eligible to be able to take the CCSK Plus certification. The third phase will be the job skills training. In the job skills training, we teach them in terms of their LinkedIn profile. We teach them how to write a very effective resume, and of course, how do they write cover letters too. We conduct mock panel interview sessions for them. It's actually an holistic program. What we tend to do is that we don't just teach them the technical part. We understand that the soft skill part also is very, very important. Actually, that is the most key component of the training. We want to build an all ramification candidate, someone in all spheres is able to integrate into the workplace very comfortably, is able to, like discuss in office settings, they know the ethics, they know how they are supposed to present themselves for interview, essentially how they're supposed to be able to thrive in the workplace. So it just goes beyond we just training them, getting them in the face of employers, but we have that support for them even post-employment to be able to guide them, to be able to see how well are they thriving on the job.
Awesome. So this is great, and this is what is needed. When you are in a new country, and as I said, if you drag the old luggage, you won't go that far. In most of the cases, what I have also seen, Kay and Mom, I'm sure you will also agree to that. Immigrants really don't have a strategy, like most of them. I mean, they just come here, and they struggle because they don't have a network. They don't really understand the norms, and believe me, spend some of the clients who come to me and say, there are 50 job opportunities, nobody's seeing my resume, I'm not getting any call. And when I look at it, how did you apply for the job? uh, and often they would have these old resumes which are not really, uh, you know as I said, the norms are different, so the style is different as well. So the recruiters are looking for some particular things that are often missing from the resumes. And Mom, I'm getting a little echo from your side, so I'll mute you. And if you want to say something, then I'll unmute you. Uh, and so understanding, so you want to add something? I'll just unmute you. So understanding the norms of finding job opportunity or opportunities in the marketplace is probably be one of the most valuable things that you're providing in this program. Mom, yes, you want to add something?
No, I was saying I'll just raise my hand if I wish to say something. But again, you are absolutely right, Hamad, because I've been in the area of HR throughout my career. And one thing I've recognized from that experience is that more than your candidate, like your skill summary, it's a 50-50 compilation essentially that employers are looking at. So yes, they look at your technical skills, but what your profile is as a candidate, I feel weighs very heavily as well. And that's what we aim to deliver on. We want to help you develop that holistic candidate profile, geared towards long-term success, because getting that first job isn't the goal here. The goal is to grow in your careers. And essentially this is what we are trying to do. So when we look at your resume, when you do that session with you, the resume is geared towards the market that you're aiming to apply for. And throughout our program, essentially we try to get as many guest speakers from the industry to come and speak to the candidates, just so they have an exposure as to what, get an insight into the industry essentially. And we actually, with our last cohort, we set them up for volunteer opportunities in a cybersecurity conferences, and they're actually going to volunteer at another event, because again, that is the target audience, that's the target employer and the industry they want to integrate into. And that's our goal here, to develop that complete candidate profile. So personal marketing, that's what's most important. So
Yeah,
you're
and you
absolutely
rightly,
right, Hamad.
yeah, and you rightly said, Mom. Uh, I think these volunteering opportunities are phenomenal. The value that these opportunities can add uh, in in uh, in you knowing people you do not know otherwise is just priceless. And it's just one right contact, literally, that can transform your career opportunities in the job market, or even freelancing market. There's so many contractors out there who are actually happy doing contracting jobs. They're not interested in a full-time opportunity. They're just happy the way they are. I know one gentleman who's been working with me for, like, he's been my client for almost a year. He is in the cloud security space, cyber arc something. I'm not technical, so cyber arc. He's a specialist in that, and he never works full time. So he only loves to do a contract, and he takes a break, and goes to US and travels and comes back, takes another contract. So if you are well networked, and people know you, and you have been delivering, slowly the situation is achievable in the marketplace, because at times there are a lot of employers who are not looking for full-time employees, but they're looking for people who can deliver short, uh, like, assignments for them, because they are contractors for other organizations. And networking plays probably the biggest role in this whole scenario. My next question would be, of course, if I am not a computer guy, which I am not, I am 58, and if I want to pivot and I really want to transform myself and get into cybersecurity field, is it doable? And if it is doable, what will be the career path?
So I can jump in and resonate with that. So it's totally doable. One of the key proponents that I say to people looking at transitioning, first of all, is the attitude. The skills can always be taught, but the attitude can't be taught. So if you're looking at transitioning into IT, say for instance, and IT knows no age. It knows no, I'll tell you for certainty that my first degree was in microbiology,
Uh,
and I pivoted into, you can imagine, pivoted into IT, and I'm in IT space constantly every day. First of all, it's the interest. You need to be interested. And how do you start? I would say, first of all, how is your office application? First of all, those are key tools that we use in offices like Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and the rest. And then also, you need to be in professional networks too. You need to network with people that are in that industry, and then you need to read, watch podcasts, webinars. Essentially, it's about the interest. Once that interest is there, and you're willing to learn. IT knows no age, it knows no boundaries in terms of previous experience. It's all about the interest. Once the interest is there, and the foundation to be able to lay upon that interest is there, I think it's a win-win situation. So it's actually very doable.
Awesome. So that means that I can also consider this as an opportunity. And my question, I particularly ask these questions because a number of my clients are from the financial sector, senior level CFOs or bankers, and a lot of them actually struggle. They all have, like, tremendous skills. And when I tell them, okay, you have this banking skill, or you've worked in this, uh, what if you do a blockchain course of some sort, and because blockchain is the in thing, for instance, similar to cybersecurity. In fact, all emerging technology fields are pretty much in demand for and there is, as you rightly said, age is not, IT doesn't look at your age. It's just if you can deliver, you will be there. What is the job market scene at the moment? What kind of jobs are available? What is the salary range, if you may share with us, just to kind of encourage the audience whenever they watch this video later on, they would have an idea.
Okay, so I would say that cloud computing is emerging, or rather, say, would I say it's already emerged? Uh, Before the advent of COVID, right? Typically most offices will run on-site infrastructure in terms of servers, computer mainframe systems. But at the onset of COVID, there was a huge transition. People were working from home, and it became an in thing. So with the advent of people working from home, most organizations had to beef up their VPN. They have to go to cloud in terms of how do they share their resources with their employees, how do they push their products and services to the consumers. So with that drive, there's a huge demand on cloud. There's a huge demand on cybersecurity, because if you run in a cloud system, how do you secure that from hackers? How do you secure that from people looking at to steal information? So in IT industry, as regards cloud, what we are offering at the moment with the foundations in IT is an entry-level certification, which is a CCSK. Now, with the CCSK, you're able to go into roles as in compliance, you're able to go into roles as in an analyst role, you're able to go into roles as an administrator, as a developer. The roles are actually endless. And the most important thing that fascinates me is that cloud can be applied to any sector, whether it be banking, whether it be retail, agriculture, every facet, every sector of the country actually is using one form of cloud or the other. To talk about salary scale, I would say a ballpark, maybe between 80 and 100, depending on the level of certification, because again, the level of certification also demands how much you can bargain for. But for a certainty, it's a very, very promising career for anyone looking at IT, not just core IT, but something that is cross functional. When I mean cross functional, you can apply that knowledge in banking, in agriculture, in retail, in health sciences, virtually all the sectors. You can apply cloud computing, cybersecurity too.
Yeah, and my elder daughter is actually doing a medical laboratory science undergrad program at Ontario Tech. So when she started, she was only thinking that she would become a medical laboratory scientist. To be very, I mean, that's the path that she wanted to take. But 2 years down the line, now she's thinking, okay, she would do probably 1 to 2 years as medical laboratory scientist working in a lab, and then she will do something around technology. So Python is something that she's thinking of. But what made her realize is the functionality that technology has with every field. With literally, this is technology. We are talking. This is the platform is technology. You're sitting somewhere else. I'm sitting in Ajax. Mom's sitting somewhere else, and then we're together. And a lot of our like people who are with us maybe are from different countries. I know I saw Muna. Muna is sitting in Vancouver, for instance. So I think if we don't bring in technology into our lives, we are still living in Stone Age, literally. And the integration. So some people integrate with technology quite quickly. Some people can't. Um, and how do you actually, what is your selection process when you take people in? How do you know that this person will be able to get benefit and will be able to kind of integrate with a technology kind of an environment?
Okay, so I'll just basically summarize that. That entails more in terms of recruitment process. So typically we are on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We go for newcomer events, career events, and we interact with newcomers as much as possible. What is key for us in our program is that at least the candidate must have an IT experience by virtue of work, or by virtue of work experience, or by virtue of educational experience back home in their own country. So once they fall into those two brackets, either by work experience, either by educational qualification, they are more than 90% qualified for the program. But going before that, when we bring them in, we go through a sort of information session with them. Information session basically just goes down in a granular view, breaking it down what the program is all about. Because again, we feel that we owe it to those newcomers to be able to explain to them in details in terms of what the program is about, in terms of the deliverables, if there are any cost implication, what are our requirements. So after the information session, we usually leave it to them to decide if it's what they want to do. If it's what they want to do, we ask them to just send their resumes over to us. We painstakingly look at those resumes, and then we send them an invite for an interview session. So at the interview session, beyond the resume, we are more interested in the person. Because again, there's a different thing about resume. There's a different scenario meeting the candidate and then interacting with them. So at the interview sessions, there's a series of questions we ask just to have a sense of where their purpose lies, just to have a sense of where their interest is in terms of eligibility, in terms of suitability, because we are looking more for someone who is interested about the benefits holistically, not just the job part. I mean, the job is key, don't get me wrong, but we want to build someone in all ramifications who we know that in all spheres of life, they're able to pursue even beyond their career, right? So at the interview session, we have the interaction, we talk to them, and when we decide, if they're actually going to be a good fit for the program, an offer is sent to them. If not, we still get back to them to just tell them what their next steps could be.
Right. So it's pretty much a holistic approach to this whole initiative. And if someone is so I know there are so Colleen has already shared the email address and all the links, so anybody who is interested can reach out to Career Foundation team and find more information. But I'm just curious, is there a fee involved in this? How much is the fee, payment terms, or anything that you would like to share?
Okay, yeah, there's a fee attached to the program, and I can tell you, in all sense of modesty, it's just $500. But on the surface value, if we were to look at what we are delivering in terms of course materials, in terms of the certification, it's actually much more than that. So the cost implication is $500 for the whole 11 weeks program.
All right. So, and this is a great investment to make. I always tell people, those who come and get mentoring from me, that I said, you have taken the biggest risk in your life. You have left your comfort, whatever the level of comfort, maybe in your homes, and then you're not really interested in investing into reinventing yourself or pivoting into a new career. It doesn't work that way, and unfortunately, some of them suffer because they don't understand it. And I always say, okay, your hard-earned money get burnt very quickly if you don't use it properly. At times, as an immigrant myself, and I'm sure all of us are Canada is a great place for immigrants. I usually joke. I said, when you are not in Canada, you have money. When you come to Canada, it becomes difficult to buy even one medium cup of cappuccino at Tim Hortons, because you're always converting it into your whatever home country currency. But your real currency is your skill. If you can use that skill, you will be successful. And if you don't want to, nobody can push you. Maham, yes, I've unmuted you.
Thank you so much for that. So just coming back to the 500, because again I know it's an investment, like you said, Hamad. It is an investment you're making in yourself. And now this certification, the CCSK, is actually the governing body, is the Cloud Security Alliance, and it is a big organization. It is recognized globally. And when you give that fee, basically that fee is going towards the training materials that's provided. So there's a PDF of the CCSK certification course curriculum that is provided to you, and then you also get 2 exam tokens. So because our goal is that once you finish the certification training, you end up writing the exam, because that makes you a more viable candidate for employers. So you get 2 tokens to have 2 attempts for the exam. So the 500 essentially goes a very long way
Yeah.
in terms of what it provides you.
And just to mention, Ahmad, you were talking about ROI. I always say something that whatever uh, anyone does invested towards their career advancement, it's more like you're investing. And then when you get that job that possibly pays you maybe six figure, that's like your return on investment, right? So whatever, I always say that if anyone thinks that education is expensive, there's always a saying that try ignorance. So whatever we invest in, this is my own thought process. I believe it's towards me adding value to myself on an incremental level. At that point, I become much more marketable. I become much more appealing to employers because I have that wealth of experience. So that's the way I tend to look at it sometimes.
No, no, this is perfect. Actually, I'll just share with you. And by the way, those who are joining in, I will be mentoring future cohorts at IT Foundation. So hopefully, I'll see some of you there as well. So I had a major launch today in India for the Indian Foundation in IT. Sorry, okay, IT, not IT Foundation, Foundation in IT. Thank you for correcting me. Okay, in India, there was a major launch of my program, and uh, and there was this discussion around competitiveness. And I said, if you are competing on price, you may fail, but if you're competing on value, you will always win. So always try to compete on value. What value are you providing, or what value you are getting, so that you can add on and give value. So it's an interesting perspective from that angle. A lot of people actually get scared when you tell them, okay, you have to spend that kind of money. And you actually use the right word, which is investment. And when you invest in something, you will always be profitable. You can be profitable now, or maybe 3 months down the line, maybe 3 years down the line. But if you treat it as an expense, you have lost it, basically. So if you have any questions, please ask. And this is our opportunity to learn from the experts more. But remember, you have to be a Canadian PR holder or a citizen living in Ontario, then we will be able to respond, or the team will be able to respond to you. We have a question from MD Sajjad. I think he's from Bangladesh. I'm not sure what the question is. Sajjad, if your question is relevant, and if you're an immigrant or going to be an immigrant soon coming to Ontario, please ask the question. If not, then of course we will not be able to respond to you. Faisal Rahman, again, same situation with you. If you want to ask any question, or anyone with us at this moment in time, I think there are about 20, approximately 20 people with us in this live at this moment. It keeps moving, up and down. But if you have any question related to the program, this is your opportunity. There are 19 people at this moment in time with us. So this is your opportunity. Please ask, and we will be happy to respond if the question is relevant. And again, if you are a PR holder or will be PR holder soon for us. But in the meantime, if there are questions coming in, so where do we start from? If somebody is interested and somebody wants more information, of course, email is one thing. But what will be the starting point?
Suffice to say that I think the first point of call is our website. So the careerfoundation.com website, we have informations about the bridging program. I'm sure Maham at the onset of the session, she mentioned about we having 3 bridging programs. So there's so much more information from the website. And number 2 is that we actually have a form that needs to be filled. So for anyone who's interested in our program, they can head onto our website. I'm sure Colin has shared the links. They can submit, the inquiry forms on that website. On our own end at the back, we get those forms, and then we start to invite people for the information session. Just to mention again, our next cohort will be starting in the first week of July. So time is ticking. I would say it's heavily competitive. We only have a few number of spots waiting to be filled. So if you're out there and you're still hesitating, still waiting, and still, I would say dilly-dally, thinking about it, time is of the essence. Why don't you head onto our website, careerfoundation.com/obtp, and find out more information, or send us an email or give us a phone call. We are here to be able to answer to any questions, any concerns, and then we can help you not decide, but give you the vital information that you need ultimately to be able to make an informed decision. Because again, I feel that part of our mission also is that we want to give you several options that there is, right, for you to then decide where do you want to head. But our mission is to get that information to people as much as possible so that they can make that quality decision.
Awesome, awesome. Maham, unmuted you. Want to add something?
No, Kay said it perfectly. I was just looking at some of the questions. So
So
I just
let's
want
bring these questions on the screen. By the way, Sajad, I was expecting this question from me. By the way, so from you. So we are not talking about immigration here. So I'm sorry, and we are not allowed to talk about immigration according to the land of the law. Only an immigration consultant, regulated immigration consultant, can give you an advice on that. So I'm so sorry, we can't really take that question. This is a question from Dima. I'm new in Ontario. My bachelor's in computer science. I have no work experience. And she is in another comment. She said that she is doing Google Career Data Analytics certificate. Uh, do we have anything for her?
So, in terms of that, Dima, I read your question, and I just wanted to mention number one, let's circle back to the eligibility. I do want to mention here that even if you're a naturalized Canadian citizen, you're eligible for the program. So, it is not necessarily that you have to be a new immigrant.
Right.
You came here 10 years ago, never got to work in the IT sector, feel free to reach out. Now, when you apply for the program, like Kay mentioned, we go by a case by case basis. We are now currently for our next cohort, which is going to be starting in the first week of July. We're recruiting pretty heavily. So again, we do have a few spots open. Just wanted to mention that before I start with the questions. Now, coming back to your question, Dima, we do, of course, like I said, case by case basis. All we request you is that, go on a website. There is a very simple pre-screening form, just asking you very basic eligibility questions, and then we'll have a look at your resume. Because again, from our end, we want to ensure we set you up for success. So even if you have a background in computer science, never got to work, just send us your resume, let us have a look. We'll try our best to set you up for an interview as soon as possible, because this essentially is the last week that we will be having interviews, unless there is a case for next week. But essentially, we want to be done with the recruitment process this week. So, just, feel free to reach out, fill out the form. It's a very basic pre-screening form just to kind of assess your eligibility, and then we'll invite you over.
And moreover, I correct me if I'm wrong. This program, the whole program, your fee is kind of pretty much subsidized by the government, right? Is it so? You're getting.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
think that's a point that we need to point out. It's not a commercial organization, okay?
It's a not-for-profit organization.
Not-for-profit organization.
Non-profit.
Yeah,
And-
non-profit.
And
Go
it's
ahead.
heavily subsidized. Heavily. When I mean heavily subsidized, is that if you look at its surface value, the exam itself with 2 tokens, I don't want to mention the amount, but anyone can look it up from CSA, what the cost implication is. And not to talk of the workplace communications training, we're bringing in an expert, someone who does facilitation on a world-class basis, So on the surface values, we're looking at, I don't want to mention amount, but it is heavily subsidized, and it's worth the amount.
All right. So this is what. So and we live in Canada, and all those who are already here, you know how expensive it is when you go to college and tries to do a similar thing. You're probably looking at about a grand, $10,000 to the program at least. By the way, so this is a great opportunity, Dima. I think you should really consider it and fill up the form. At least get into the process, because time is again the essence here. We have another question from Hamnat Yadev. Hamnat is an HR professional who is recently arrived in Canada. I know him because he has taken my course, and he has picked some of the things in his profile, on his profile. So this is his question. I think so we have already spoken about it, but I think, Kay, if you could address this question. And Hamna, by the way, it's going to be a good opportunity, so don't miss it at fill out the form. Okay.
So does it make sense for someone who has interest but neither has experience in IT nor study background in IT to go for the course?
Yeah.
So I think I mentioned this earlier. I did mention that IT knows no barrier. IT knows no first degree, knows no age, has no barrier, has no limit. It's all about the interest. It's all about the passion. So, but in reference to our program, like we said, we are actually looking at people that actually have education by way of IT experience, uh, project management experience, any IT related field or work experience. So for us, it has to line into those parts. But there are other IT programs, suffice to mention, that might not require you to be a core IT graduate, or having worked in IT. But to say that you have interest, you want to transition into IT, it's not for me to make that determination for you, but I'm saying that IT cuts across all sectors. Just like we mentioned, Ahmad, in terms of medical lab science, is that as a medical lab science, the platform they run, the application they run will be on cloud.
Yeah.
It's based on an ERP. So having the knowledge of the functionality of that ERP, of that system, gives you an added advantage even to your employer. It makes you indispensable, sort of, in a way.
Awesome. We have another question from Ali Asgar Dosa. So I'm not sure, Ali, where are you from? But I think this is your question is good. Also want to ask about if you are also working with other programs. So within the organization, there are multiple programs. So I'm not sure if someone wants to address this one.
So Ali, thank you for your question. I would say we the Career Foundation is a not-for-profit organizations, and we have huge programs, different programs. Even within the bridging programs, we had for HVAC, we had for network cabling. But to do yourself a good service, I would say go to the careerfoundation.com. When you get to our own page, you'll be able to see the vast array of services that we render in terms of counseling, in terms of job seeking, in terms of providing you with training options. And it's amazing. It's really, really amazing. The services that we render. You know.
Awesome. Awesome. No, thank you very much. And I believe Jan is from your first cohort.
Yes,
He has
that
done his
is
11 weeks already with you, and he is jumping with joy, I believe. You are absolutely right. 11 weeks, $500. You divide it by whatever number the mathematics is easier, right? The value that you're going to get out of it is going to be phenomenal. Uh, and believe me, as someone who coaches people, like I do career coaching as well as LinkedIn, just having one item in your LinkedIn profile, in your experience, you can count this as an experience, you can count this as an education or even certification. That one pointer that you have taken or you've been part of an initiative, experience, education, volunteer, whatever, in Canada, particularly in Ontario, if you're in Ontario, is going to change the complete perspective. It completely changes the way algorithm is going to kind of help you. So that $500 is just maybe like few months of coffee. If you can save on few months of coffee, I think you should just go for it. So thank you, Jen, for participation and for your contribution. Um, we have another question from the question is, do we IT degree or computer science? It was already answered twice. No, you do not need an IT degree or computer science. You just need to be able to learn. Also, your willingness to learn is going to help you in this whole process. So very quickly, 30-second response from K for this one as well.
Yeah, I would say, like Maham mentioned, just head on to that pre-screening form on our website. Once you get to that pre-screening form, and then we can talk to you on, like we said, it's always on a case-by-case basis. We look at it and we can evaluate and see what options we have. So head on to our website and just click on that pre-screening form. Let's get your details, and we'll be able to talk to you further.
And because I have the insider information, so I'm going to share that insider information with everyone. There are only 10 spots available. So if you miss, you're going to be in the next batch, next cohort. Don't want, I'm sure you don't want to miss this opportunity. So fill up the form so that they could evaluate you and speak to you. Only 10 spots. I think probably one or two have already gone by now. So fill up the form today, in fact, just after the webinar, or maybe like on the create another tab or open up another tab and fill up the form so that they could reach out to you quickly. And today is already Thursday, so tomorrow is Friday, and then there will be weekend. Don't wait for that time and just fill it up. Okay, so Maham tells me less than 10 left now, so which means some have already gone. So please, um, don't miss the opportunity. See, these opportunities are uh, these are like rewards. Treat these opportunities as rewards when you are in a new society, in a new country. There's a lot happening, and not everything is kind of is publicized. Let's put it this way. This is an opportunity because I have a tremendous community around me, and this is an opportunity for my community to take advantage of this great opportunity. So, Maham, you want to say something?
Yes. I also want to mention that all the participants, because we have actually we are working with also kipps. I don't know if you're familiar with that, which is Canadian IT Professionals Association, essentially. So any member coming in through our program will be given free membership to kipps for as a student member. And kipps is such a fantastic organization. There are so many events happening with them too. And when you do become a member of kipps, there is a Sophia skills assessment testing. It is written as SFIA, but pronounced as Sophia. So that kind of evaluates who your candidate profile also. So I believe it's 33 skills that it assesses you on. And it is basically IT skills. So like, my background's HR. So initially when I wrote the test, I felt this small, but I think if you're an IT professional, you would do much better on it. But again, it kind of helps you establish and develop a sort of a plan as to what are the areas that you need to work on. It's a fantastic assessment as well. So I just thought I'd mention that to you, that, this is something that also comes with this program.
Awesome. So there will be a lot of value addition, believe me, and that value addition. So sometime I keep sharing my own story. When somebody buys my course, the online course even, uh, nobody talks about the value addition. See, somehow I think when I like work with someone, I always ask. This is my first question: what is the value addition? So there's one thing that you see in front, so the facade, and whatever you see, the features, but the value addition is the real meat. So for my cohorts, the value addition is the community that I build in, and this is exactly what the foundation in IT is doing. They're building the communities. Um, so I think this is a full question. Engineering profession? No, it's not a full question. So and he's moving into January 2022. Yeah. Um, it's hard for me to enter into that. Let's look at the full question at the sidebar, and move into another career such as supply chain or project management. How can this forum help me? It is hard for me to enter into another industry because of my experience coming from a totally different field. I understand the soft skills remain the same in most. I think, Bilal, this is your opportunity. You're going to rock because you're an engineer yourself, right? Um, uh, you would. I personally feel working with so many people as an engineer or somebody who like does mathematics, you are more analytical. Very simple. So I think it's a great opportunity. I would even ask Kay or Maham to respond to you. You have to fill up the form. You have to fill up the form and then forget about everything. I think this 11 weeks are going to transform you completely. So, by the way, you're the guest. Kay or Maham, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I wanted to quickly say that for us, it's not about the quantity; it's about quality. And so some people might be wondering that how come like we have a very tight cohort, with very limited cohort in terms of numbers, And that's because we want to have that personalized approach, that one-on-one approach with our participants. So our numbers for every cohort is very limited in scope. And there's just no other reason why. How do we add value? This is not a typical classroom where you have 60, 70, 80 people, and then the instructor or facilitator don't know jack about the people. They don't know them in terms of their strength, in terms of opportunity that lies within this candidate. But for us, we know everyone, we know our candidates, we know them by their strengths, we know their resume off our back, It's just so much excitement when you're working with a tight niche group of people and you add more value to them, as opposed to having a large class where you can really make impact and it's all about the monetary value. For us, it's about value proposition anytime, any day.
Awesome. And as I always say, our network is our net worth, and this is something that people keep hearing from me. So, Shafiq, we have responded to your question. So please go and fill up the form now. This is your opportunity. I don't think you should miss this opportunity. And Ali Asghar is already connected with me via LinkedIn, and he wants to speak to me about something. And this is the beauty of our network. And I always say you have to be out there and be seen. And if you do whatever you do and nobody knows about it, you may be okay, but you may not grow the way somebody who knows people can grow. So unless we have more questions, or if you want to say something, we are already close to an hour in our conversation, and I'm sure some of you have filled up the form. If you haven't filled up the form, you are missing a great opportunity. I'm sure you will do so soon. But parting thoughts from let's get some parting thoughts from Kay, and then we go to Maham, and hopefully we'll come back with another similar show in a month's time.
Thank you. So, to everyone listening to this webinar, our call to you is that seize the opportunity. I would say time is of the essence. Make a while the sun still shines. There's so much competition out there, and we need to continually add value to ourselves. We are there to help. All you have to do is just send us our email, give us a call, and we'll be able to assist you. Thank you.
Awesome. Maham.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Firstly, Hamad, thank you so much for, inviting us today. It was fantastic. I loved interacting with the audience. Again, like he has said, if you have any questions, because I know taking that first step is the biggest, I personally feel, because that tiny first step is what's going to get you started on your career journey. We are here to support you. This is a program funded by the Government of Ontario. So essentially, this program is from the government. They want to help you. These bridging programs are created recognizing that there is an influx of immigrants coming in, and we are here to make sure that your transition into the Canadian workplace, your transition into the Canadian culture is as seamless as possible. So again, we are here to help you. The Career Foundation, we have a suite of programs under the general umbrella. We have all these different programs catering to different needs, like this bridge training program, but we also offer employment services. So one-on-one employment services. But as a parting note, when you come into our program, once the training is finished, the 3 phases are finished, our goal is to help you find a job. So I always tease Kay about this. That's his goal in life, to get you guys jobs. Anyone coming to our cohort, that's all Kay thinks about day in and day out. So once you finish a program, the 11 weeks, you write the exam, and we will be connecting you to employers. We work with a lot of employers. We have a huge database, with different employers looking for, who want to hire people, because there is a need for really good talent, and we are giving them that talent. So reach out to us. Colleen, our team member, has been fantastic. She's actually been answering a lot of your questions in the chat. So the link is there. We need you to fill out the pre-screening form to assess your eligibility, because again, since it's a government-funded program, we have to ensure that you meet the eligibility criteria. So again, thank you, Hamad. Thank you.
So it's such a pleasure. The objective is, and I always feel very privileged that I get an opportunity to connect the dots, to help immigrants in their journey. to becoming successful in this great land, land of opportunity as we call them. Sky's the limit, folks, and you rightly said, Maham, that first step is always the most challenging step. If we could take that first step, rest of the journey becomes much more easier. And it's so interesting to hear that these employers, and because this is a government funded program, there's a natural match, right? The employers would actually recognize the program, and anybody coming out of the program, they know that they have learned things that are relevant, that they can deliver the value. And what an employer is looking for, they are looking for solution providers, right? So if you can become a solution provider by taking this 11 weeks program, you will be successful. So thank you very much for your time, Kay and Maham, today. Hopefully, we'll come back in about 4 weeks' time and do another great session like this. And in the meantime, let's enjoy. I'm sure your inbox is inundated by now, and hopefully, you will fill up those 10 spots very, very quickly. This video will be available on my LinkedIn and as well as on my YouTube. So if you want to share it with anyone, please do so, because at the end of the day, you will become a torch bearer also, like Maham, myself, and Kay. We are helping other people grow with us. Thank you very much and have a wonderful rest. Well, just one more day to go and a great weekend. Bye for
Thank
now.
you.